Hello film fans and welcome to this very quick edition of the Sherlockian. Now, the new BBC series Wild Isles has just dropped its trailer and I thought it might be fun to do a quick look through at the trailer and see what kind of things might be coming up in some of the episodes of Wild Isles and just my thoughts on the series in general. Now, I must admit I was a bit underwhelmed when I heard that while they were doing a series specifically about the British Isles. Now, you might think that's a bit strange because I'm British, and therefore I ought to be interested in a series about British wildlife. But I must admit, I sort of thought, well, first of all, I'm always a little bit sceptical about when people, like for instance, as David Attenborough has said about this show, that he's been all over the world and he's seen all these amazing natural, spectacular events. But believe him that there's nothing better than watching British wildlife. And I always think, oh, really? If you were like in Kenya and you were watching like a wildebeest migration, and miles after miles, all you can see is just the black bodies of all these wildebeest moving through the savannah, would you really think, oh, yes, excellent, but what I really fancy right now is a mammation of starlings? I don't think you would you? I always thought it's a little bit patronising to say, oh yes, British wildlife stands up there with the best in the world. Now, I'm sure it does in certain circumstances, but not in terms of spectacular natural events, surely. So I must admit to being a little bit cynical about this show, right up until the moment I saw the trailer, because heck, it's beautiful. It might be one of the most beautiful series I have ever seen, just going on from the trailer. Um, for a start, the landscapes in this, they look gorgeous. It looks like a whiskey commercial. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic, and it might be less overwhelming, say, for somebody who's American, and I know a lot of my audience are. And it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts about this. But obviously, living in Britain, and obviously having some familiarity with the landscapes in question, seeing them from a slightly different angle, maybe, or in more beautiful light, it was gorgeous and it really made me quite excited for the show. But that said, obviously the main attraction to the series is the wildlife. And it looks like they're going to do a pretty wide range of stuff. So apparently there's 6 episodes, well, 5 or 6. I've seen it different in either places. There's going to be like the introductory episode, then there's going to be one at the end about conservation, and then in between that, there's episodes on, I think, woodlands, grasslands, freshwater, and the oceans. So they've obviously got quite a wide range of stuff they want to look at. I must admit, from just having a quick glance from the trailer, well, obviously looking at the trailer, but obviously you only get a certain small section of different bits, don't you? The bits I was most looking forward to are the bits with fresh water in. I think the slow motion stuff they've got with the ospreys. It comes down, plunges into the water, and it comes up with the fish in its talons, and the similar bit with the kingfisher. And there's also another gorgeous scene with some stags. I think it's in Ireland, if I remember rightly, fighting. And that's again in kind of like over a freshwater landscape. The water's kind of spraying up around them. And again, that looks absolutely amazing. That was the bit that when I watched it, I thought, oh, that really excites me. I really want to see more of that kind of stuff. There's also some really gorgeous shots of common dolphins swimming underwater, and there's another excellent shot of I think of an otter in the sea as well, which they've obviously filmed up really close. Back in the day, that would probably have been filmed in captivity, but because that's now frowned upon quite a lot, I assume it probably was filmed in real life, probably with some kind of underwater drone. But nevertheless, it looks absolutely fantastic. Um, I think the scene I'm most looking forward to seeing, though, wasn't even in the trailer though. Um, it was I was doing a bit of research for this video, and it turns out that they've got some footage of hobbies, which are like small falcons in Britain, hunting dragonflies. And apparently it took them 3 years to get to film it properly. And I saw a press shot, I think on the Countryfile website, of a young hobby coming down really low over the water, and it's kind of its tail feathers skidding through the surf, and it's like grabbing a dragonfly right off the surface of the water. It's gorgeous, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing that in the flesh, as it were. Not in the flesh, but on screen. Other than that, I expect I shall have to talk about killer whales again because well, they feature twice in the trailer, and there's quite a nice shot of an orca from a really low angle, which I think looks quite good. I must admit to being slightly bored about having to talk about them to you by this point, because I've talked about them in every single series I think I've ever reviewed. Oh, bar the dinosaur ones. But nevertheless, they feature quite a lot in the marketing as well, so I think they'll probably make quite a big thing about orcas off the British coast. Possibly, people won't want to go swimming for a while after they've seen this show. But anyway, yeah, overall, I think it looks absolutely gorgeous. The soundtrack looks amazing. David Attenborough is actually out once again, despite being well into his 90s. In front of the camera, there's a nice shot of him sitting next to some puffins. So, yeah, it all looks brilliant. So, I'm really looking forward to the show coming out on air. I think it comes out in the next few weeks. So, I will do as I do with most new series. I'll review them episode by episode and see what I think. But yeah, thanks very much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter. There's a link in the description below. You can also subscribe to the channel if you feel like it. Obviously, just click on the link in the next to my channel below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.